When was the last time you read a book? A week ago? 2 weeks? 3 weeks? A year ago? Or rather, when was the last time you voluntarily read a book and actually enjoyed it? Well, recently, I came across a book that was so breathtakingly amazing that I had the overwhelming urge to share it with someone. So, I went up to my mother and showed her the book. I sat in front of her next to the TV and started rattling on about the characters, the plot, and how everything wove intricately together to create this amazing story. To this, she looked at me, looked at the book, gave it a curt nod, and returned her eyes back to the TV. Slightly discouraged, I trotted into my brother's room and showed him the book. He frowned at the apparently offending stack of paper and told me to get out of his room. So I did the only natural thing, went to school, sat my friends down, and told them about this amazing story I'd read, to be met with their polite confusion. With no one to talk to about my book, I was left with the grueling question: why doesn't anybody read? Although my experience cannot speak for everyone else's, it is the undeniable truth that people are reading less and less these days. However, upon further ponderment, why should we read? We were always told that reading was good for us and that we should read more by adults, but how exactly is it good for us? And why should you read? The thing is, reading, as well as writing, was not viewed with the most optimistic eye in the past. Plato, for instance, expressed deep reservations about written language. Was it making people less human, even mechanical? Plato went as far as calling writing artificial memory, as he believed in the purity of memory and the knowledge needed to be preserved through memory only. In modern times, where books are considered gateways to forgotten knowledge and are conduits that link people from across the globe, this statement seems absurd and even worthy of ridicule. However, Plato was not the only one to think this. Many others believed that when something was written down, it was less heartfelt and thus less true. Now, as time passed, people began to realize that things needed to be written down and preserved to be passed down to further generations for reference more accurately. They also realized that when something was written down, it did not make it less heartfelt, but one could objectively view their thoughts and emotions. Now, I want to appeal reading on a more personal level. But before this, I want to introduce a little observation I made. I view ourselves as lanterns. The prospects of a lantern are beautiful. The outer metal can be shaped intricately to create this wire frame that kindles the bright, beautiful flame within. However, the components of a fire are quite dangerous. Without prior knowledge, one may take the metal to craft weapons and use the fire to attack and even harm. I believe that, unfortunately, our current society emulates this metaphor in a way. With the emergence of phones, our lives have been facilitated immensely. We are, unlike ever before, able to broadcast our thoughts and ideologies to a broader audience through many mediums. However, with this newfound power, we find that our words have grown cheaper, weaker, and dealt with less care. We have lost the meaning of the words that have developed over countless centuries, and craft the letters that were made to be imprinted onto costly paper into weapons we throw at strangers carelessly online. We have forgotten what the fire and metal used to be for. Language needs to be rescued and restored, and this can be done by reading. Reading also slows you down. One of the main excuses we find at the tips of our tongues for not being able to do anything is the lack of time. we can't seem to be able to fit all our things into our tight schedule. But we find that we spend most of our valuable time on our screens and on our devices. The endless craving for dopamine spikes destroys our grasp of time itself and instead focuses us on the lack of it. Reading is the art of paying attention. In an age where attention is commodified, I believe we should be able to get something out when we decide to pay our precious attention to. There's also, I believe deeply, a beauty in the solitude of reading. When it takes your mind away from all the things around you and completely immerses you into the book's world. Now, you might not be an active reader, but you must admit that there's a certain comfort in thinking about lying down on an overplumped cushion, a steaming mug in hand, completely immersed in a book. Reading is a form of meditation in that it calms you and helps you reorganize yourself. Reading also helps you understand yourself better. Like we are what we eat, we are what we read. Reading shapes how we view the world and how our thoughts are formed. When we read a book with a character that we can empathize with or relate to, we naturally find things about ourselves that we were never able to quite articulate before. These new facts about ourselves may disturb us. They may be conflicting. However, books are not just enlightening in a strictly academic sense. Like some art pieces, they are meant to disturb us or affect us negatively. By doing so, we are able to venture into a part of ourselves that we could never explore before. We must realize that every book is an echo of the books that came before it. Each book contains whispers of past stories, reshaped by a new voice. We commonly think that we must read thick novels, really hard classic books to be considered reading, but this is not the case. Modern-day books are products of evolution and contain the insights and thoughts of historical figures that have developed over centuries. So, by just picking up a book of today, a book that intrigues you, and genuinely enjoying it, will naturally lead you to ponder as to what the original reference was like, furthering you on your reading journey. To start reading, it is imperative that you understand what is stopping you. Is it time? Do you think reading is work? Is it your phone and distractions? Do you fear being judged on what you read? Or is it the fear of elitism? These are different reasons that cannot all be shoved under the main umbrella term for lack of time and must be understood on a personal level. Reading is intimidating, but the only real thing you can do wrong is to not read at all. There are so many books containing so much information that will never hit you the same way if you were to read it through a review or content someone else broke into chunks for you to swallow. You will never get to form your own thoughts or insights about these books. You will never know if these books that you've never read contain the answers to a long-forgotten question, or if they will give you peace of mind. Realize that now, more than ever, books are a way for us to break away from our current world and discover ourselves, understand ourselves better. There's a whole world of knowledge and self-discovery just a step away from us. All we have to do is turn the first page. Thank you.